Hello and welcome to the show. On this programme, we're so lucky because we get to meet a wealth of different people with all sorts of different property backgrounds.
Yeah, some are first-timers getting those first steps on the property ladder. Others are seasoned professionals adding to their rental portfolios.
Yes, but they've all got one thing in common. They've all got the property auction bug. So why not think about buying your next home under the hammer? What I love about property auctions is the sheer variety on offer, all ready to be bought with the fall of the hammer.
Absolutely, Dion. And it's not just houses and flats we see. We've seen churches, pubs, toilets. I could go on.
Yeah, so with so much choice, what have we got coming up on today's show? Could this pair of houses in Cheshire be tandem trouble or a dream duo?
Could this be one property? Do you keep it as two? The options are huge.
This two-bed in Tyne and Wear is in dire need of double glazing, or in fact any glazing.
The lack of windows just makes the place feel uninhabitable.
And the retaining wall at this three-bed in the Rhondda Valley is almost too much to bear. Can you imagine the weight that is holding back? It is scary beyond belief.
175.
All of these properties have been sold at auction, and we'll find out who bought them and what they paid for them when they went under the hammer.
Yours, sir.
Dion's on the eastern edge of Cheshire today in the small village of Church Lawton. It's a very rural and peaceful setting, but it's actually only 15 minutes drive from the city of Stoke-on-Trent.
So on offer at the auction house was an interesting lot. It was a pair of semi-detached houses that were described in the auction catalogue as needing renovation and repair. Here they are. They had a guide price of £135,000 for the two. Where do I go?
That's up to you, it's the choice you choose.
Right, this is what I would call a snug front room, very small in here. There's lots of furniture as well. Yeah, I've got double glazed windows, which is definitely a plus. Dated decor, dated furniture, but it's very, very tight in here. OK, across the hallway into the second reception room. Somebody's obviously been using it as a bedroom, but it's bigger in here. Similar to the front, hasn't been decorated in a while. It's very dated, but it feels quite solid in here. You have got two really nice, decent-sized windows either side of the chimney breast, letting loads of light in. That's a nice feature. And then we've got the kitchen through here, so follow me into the kitchen. It's a galley kitchen. It's an OK size. There's a lot of kitchen in here, to be honest with you. They've crammed a lot in, and it's dated, needs to be ripped out. Put something brand new in here. Then you've got your toilet at the end there. You know what? There's got to be a better way of using the space. There really has. You've got a nice sized dining room there. You've got what we would call a front room back in the day. Kitchen's an OK size. Downstairs toilet is always a bonus. So everything's in place, but it could be used better.
And the same could be said for upstairs. There are two good-sized double bedrooms. So far, so good. And then this bathroom to the back. Now, it's excellent having an upstairs bathroom, but spare a thought for the occupants in the other bedroom having to tiptoe very quietly in the dead of night to use the facilities. Exactly. The next door property is the mirror image, except that it isn't extended to the back. This means it's even more compact than its neighbour, and it's in a much poorer state of repair.
There is a bit of outside space to these two properties, all slightly overgrown and could do with a bit of TLC. So let me just show you over here. I'll take you over here. This is where the wall will be on the inside of these two properties. Could this be one property? Do you keep it as two? I know it all depends on what you want to do, your budgets. Do you want to rent two properties, have one big property? That's all down to the owner of this building. But the options are huge with a property like this.
I would only rearrange all the other working parts will stay in place.
It's quite a thought to imagine this as a single dwelling. It would take quite a bit of rearranging and a few quid, but given you would have to spend quite a bit to refurbish these two houses anyway, why not go the extra mile? Oh, and there's one thing yet to see. This undergrowth isn't the boundary.
Now I know why they said, Dion, put your wellies on. You get all this outside space. Yes, it's going to be divided up maybe about here, but look at the size of it. There's so much space to play with. You can't see the boundaries, and it's still massive. You've got some overgrown trees which needed to be tended to. But you know what? I do like a decent-sized back garden. Loads of stuff to be chopped down, loads of stuff to be worked with. I'm tempted to suggest I'd like it as one back garden.
A great property with plenty of options. But what will a local estate agent think? One house or two or more?
The ground surrounding the two properties will be extremely good to develop onto. Obviously, the location of Church Lawton is a fantastic semi-rural area in Stoke-on-Trent, and people do desire to live here.
Interesting. So how likely is it that planning permission might be granted for a new development here?
I think the council would give it some thought on getting planning permission. There is recent projects locally that have been done, so I don't see that there would be a problem with this one.
And what about valuations if the existing properties were renovated?
A sales valuation for each two-bed semi would be £165,000.
And for rental?
I would suggest you could achieve £600 to £625 per calendar month.
So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in there, and you are going to need a decent-sized budget to get all that work done. But loads of potential and a huge amount of back garden to work with as well. Let's find out who had that winning bid when it went under the hammer.
You'll note the guide on this has been increased to £145,000. Can I start it at the guide of £145,000? 145 on the telephone, thank you.
With bidders in the room and on the telephone, the price soon climbed. We rejoined with the bidding at £170,000.
170,000 is bid. Your bid, sir. On the fourth row, out this side, £170,000. 171. I'll treat you saying 172. 172. Can I say 173 now? 173. 173. Back in. 174. 174. 175 is a really nice round figure, isn't it? 175. 176 now. 176. I'll take 177 anywhere else as well. Or are we all done? At £176,000. If so, you'll bid, sir. At £176,000 for the first time. £176,000 for the second time. Third and final time at £176,000. You bought it, so well done, thank you.
That bid of £176,000 came from local businessman Brendan. Why was he so keen on owning these two houses? Dion met him for a chat to find out.
Brendan, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Congratulations first and foremost, but did you go to the auction for two houses?
We went to the auction with a couple of properties in mind. This one was on the list a bit sooner. It came up and I was sitting there and the wife's looking at me. And then she says, oh, you bid? You know what? It's on the third shout. So I put my hand up and then he says, sold.
And that was it?
That was it. I was sort of daydreaming, really, thinking if it wasn't for the wife doing that, we'd have probably lost it.
So are you happy with what you've got?
Very happy, yeah. Well, more than happy with what's outside as well, with it's a big garden, which could be good.
What's the initial plan with this one, then?
But there's a few options. We're not quite sure which way we're going to go. Our first instance was do the 2 up, rent them out.
OK.
After seeing the size of the garden, it's not really what possibly people who are going to be renting may want. A big garden. Some people might not. So I had thoughts, and it could build a nice couple of properties on that back garden.
Ah, that's interesting.
But it's getting to the properties because we're a bit landlocked and there's no way to get to it.
Have you thought about maybe making it 1?
It wouldn't be a problem making it 1, I suppose. I have to see what planning say. But if you're looking at rent, 2, I would think, would be better than 1.
There you go, that's plan A, isn't it? That's why you want plan A to come to 2.
Or 3 or 4 would be better than 2. But that might be being greedy. You know.
Is it you that gets mucked in here? Do you have people that do the work for you?
Well, myself, my son and my daughter and my wife, we run a property maintenance company. So
perfect then, isn't it?
This is the sort of thing we do. What we do it for the company. This is the first time that we've actually ourselves bought a properties. And hoping to use the expertise of the company to sort them out for us. OK,
so this is different, isn't it? This is a different, you know, it's not...
really.
Yeah, exactly. This is more for you guys, for the future, isn't it?
Pension.
For the pension,
yeah,
exactly,
really,
yeah.
You know.
So Brendan's pension pot depends on what can be agreed with his local planning department. He's going to have an informed chat with the planning officer to see if development on the site is worth pursuing. The main difficulty is the lack of access to the site, but Brendan's come up with a solution to that.
We have thought, let's do away with this one. Let's drop this one, which will give us a way around the back. If that's the only way, and it would do it, it's an option.
Well, that is one solution, if a little drastic, but sensibly, Brendan plans to discuss all options with the neighbours, as well as with the planners. His timescale is a movable feast, anything from 1 to 3 years, depending on what he ends up doing. But for now, he needs to start somewhere.
Are you going to do anything at all to these buildings beforehand, or are you clearing them out or anything?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. Even before we can see the planning, we can get in the year and clean them out.
So in regard to your budgets then, they must be varied. Tell us what budget A is first.
Yeah, well, our initial budget was to do the 2 properties up, we thought between 45 and 50,000.
And the big plan?
We may have to chuck another 100, 150 at it, or more, you know, depending on how many we could get in the back garden, really. I'm in no rush because I've been forced into work. I was planning on retiring. This is my retirement project, but my daughter's had a little boy, so
congratulations!
Been pulled into sort of do the maternity cover up until April next year. So that's slightly holding us back. But the grandson's worth it. So it's worth
Brilliant! Congratulations to you
and
your daughter. Good luck. I hope it all works out for you.
Yeah, we do too.
I really do. I think you've got a good project to be getting on with.
Thanks very much.
Take care.
Fingers crossed.
Brendan's got lots of options here, and I like the way he's going about his business. He's speaking to the local planning authority, and he's speaking to the neighbours. Will there be 2 houses at the front? Will there be property back here? Will it just be 1? Brendan doesn't know what he's going to do at present. I just hope he saves a little bit of time aside for being a granddad. You can find out exactly what he achieves later in the programme.
What a bonus when you can enjoy the bracing fresh air of the beach just a short distance from your doorstep. The seaside at Seaham sits 6 miles south of the city of Sunderland and provides a much-enjoyed coastal getaway for residents of the village of Horton-le-Spring, just 5 miles inland in the county of Tyne and Wear.
Well, you don't have to worry about too much traffic with today's property because there is no road. Now, the property I am here to see is a 2-bed mid-terrace, which came with a guide price of just £10,000. I like the fact it's set back a bit. This nice big garden comes first, but you can't see your nice garden because your windows are boarded up. Not ideal. Let's go look.
Yes, well, that £10,000 guide price might scream, come and get me, but the outside of the place isn't quite screaming the same thing. Here's hoping appearances are deceptive.
Inside, well, stairs straight ahead, then through to your reception room, and straight away, the lack of windows, boarded up, smashed, just makes the place feel uninhabitable. And even if you did have your windows there, they were single glazed, so you'd want to upgrade to double glazing. But looking around, it doesn't smell of damp. There are no big damp patches. Yes, there are things that need replaced. You need new flooring. Some of the floorboards are missing, but it feels quite sound. Next up, the kitchen. And then you have behind the kitchen some extra space, which is invaluable when you only have 2 rooms, somewhere else to put things. Also a back door, which is handy. It looks like this is actually an extension. It's been added at some stage. The kitchen itself, it needs to come out, but there's plenty of room here to put everything. Now, on this wall, it looks like a boiler's been there and been ripped out. So you've got no boiler, and again, your single glazed windows are smashed, they're boarded up, so the energy efficiency rating here would be really low, like rock bottom, and you'd want to bring that up. The plus side is, it wouldn't be too hard to do. Get yourself a condensing boiler, get double glazed windows, insulate where you can, sorted.
The energy efficiency of a property is measured by its EPC rating, which stands for Energy Performance Certificate. Ideally, you want a top A or B grading, down to E at the basic minimum. But at the moment, this house is unfit for anyone to live in because its F grading is way below par. Yes, you better do better than that. So in order to move that rating further up the alphabet towards A, you need to fix the windows and the drafty doors, recondition the central heating and improve the insulation. You might even find there are grants available to help with the costs of the work. But one thing's for sure, this house needs a big improvement on its current poor energy performance.
Upstairs and, well, your bathroom clearly needs replaced. You don't have enough room for a separate bath and shower, but if you wanted both, you would just put your shower on top of your bath. The first bedroom is a decent double, and I do spot a window that's actually intact, albeit it's single glazed and you want to upgrade everything to double if you can. And then your second bedroom, great proportions. Yes, there's a lot wrong. You've got glass on the floor, you need to replace some floorboards, you need to re-plaster, you need to redecorate. But it feels quite neat and quite clean. Even the furniture has been stacked away neatly. It's a blank canvas to do what you want with good proportions and loads of potential.
Yes, and as refurbishment projects go, this ticks lots of boxes. There's no apparent damp or structural issues, yet there are lots of ways in which you could improve it and potentially add value. It also promises some outdoor space. So what actually is behind that boarded up back door?
What you have is a really nice patio area. If it was me, I'd be building up this wall or fencing it off so it was a bit more private, more enclosed. I love this space. It's a bit of a surprise. Now, what I suspected was an extension indeed is. It has a flat roof, which can cause problems with water, so you'd want to check that. And also, you've got an area of guttering that's missing on that extension, so you want to address that. And it's all boarded up, and it looks really, really sad. But the great news is, inside, it's not nearly as bad.
Yep, that old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, is very apt for this 2-bed. A local property expert can, of course, see the prospect through the problems. So we invited one along to tell us what he thinks the house, guided at £10,000, could potentially be worth.
I would suggest that this property, once refurbished, should be placed back on the market for a figure of £70,000.
And its rental potential?
It's got 2 double bedrooms, which I think would attract a family, and I would suggest that it should rent for £450 per calendar month.
A fair bit of work is required to make this an attractive home once more. And quite a few things are missing. Some of the windows, the boiler, but what you do have is the shell, the fabric of a house which seems pretty solid. And with a guide price of just £10,000, I'd imagine it attracted a bit of interest. Let's find out what happened when it went under the hammer.
This lot was sold at a remote property auction with online bids only, so we didn't capture any of the bidding action on the day.
Hang on, online.
But not surprisingly, considerably above that £10,000 guide price, the 2-bed in Horton-le-Springs sold for £34,000. And it was consultant accountant James who met Martel back at the house to tell her all about his property purchase.
James, pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Martel.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, that accent's not from around these parts, is it?
No. So I'm from London, a little town called Dagenham.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's myself and 4 others of my close friends that have bought this place.
Okay.
So we've come together, started a business a couple of years ago. So, you know, putting our own money in and being able to get to a point where we were able to buy this place, which is our first one.
What's the driver here? Is it as simple as make money, or is it to be your own boss?
I think it's a mixture of things, and we've all grown up together and wanted to have our own thing. We're really close friends, over 10 years of friendship, so we really want to, as well as make money, have something of our own, I would say.
So you've known each other 10 years, so did you go through high school together?
Yes, so secondary school. I can't get rid of them.
I feel like we definitely need to mention your friends' names. Give them their first names.
Most definitely. So you've got David, Sam, Dudley and Jide.
So, 5 friends setting off on a property adventure together. Being based in London, they only viewed the property on a virtual tour, but they did read the legal pack. Mind you, it's one thing reading it and quite another understanding it.
We're new to this, obviously, so we didn't know what exactly we were looking for. Thinking back now, it would have been great to get someone maybe to look over it that had more experience.
Why? Was there a hidden nasty in it?
Yeah, the hidden costs that we weren't aware of were £8,000, but we're hoping that we're still in the green for this one.
Yeah, and you learned a huge lesson.
Yeah, most definitely.
Ouch! Well, those unexpected costs of £8,000 came in the form of auction fees. I'm guessing James and his friends won't miss those things in future. So, how are they going to add value back into this property and recoup some of that outlay?
In the front room, just a redecoration. I believe we're going to get rid of all of the windows, get double glazed windows inside. Kitchen, have a new whole design, so work with our builders to make sure that it's more modern. And then with regards to upstairs, more redecorating in the 2 bedrooms, new bathroom to come in. And then with regards to the rear, have a bit of fencing because the bricks are all down. And potentially have a little space for a car to be parked.
Oh, and that's a good idea. One thing, the energy rating here is super low. What's your plan to get that a bit better, the energy rating?
We've been looking at, obviously, not only the double glazed windows, but thinking of getting a loft installation in, and my understanding is that those government Green Deal grants, I believe, will support that. So we're looking to doing that with the builders. Hopefully that not only cuts our costs, but also supports, you know, the energy efficient rating that will help us sell it on.
Yeah, yeah. But what is your budget to do everything here?
Our budget is £12,000. We've added a contingency of 3,000, so hopefully 15, which shouldn't be too bad.
Well, they may well need to go to that £15,000 because they're not planning to do any of the work on the house themselves. Instead, they'll leave it up to a local building team to do all the refurb work, with a plan that one or more of the 5-some will come up every now and again to check on progress. Fingers crossed that works.
They say you should never work with friends or family. Do you have any concerns? Like, is anyone a diva?
I would probably say I'm probably the diva, if I'm being honest, yeah. I'm kind of that guy that likes to make things bigger than it is. But,
oh,
yeah.
I see, so that's why you're on screen and not the others. You're like, this is my moment?
Yeah, how you caught me. Yeah, there hasn't been any issues so far. Yeah, I think a lot of people say that you shouldn't work with your friends, but I think it works sometimes.
You've known each other a long time. It's a great new chapter to start. Very best of luck, James. It was great to meet you.
Thank you so much.
What an exciting first chapter in property development for James and his 4 pals who've known each other since high school. Yes, they got a bit of a shock when it came to some legal fees, and they'll really have to watch their budget. I just hope they make a profit. You can find out if they do later in the show.
Still to come, could this 3-bed in Tylerstown be a damp squib? That wall is actually very, very wet, so that wall obviously got a problem. And we'll find out if the hands-off approach worked for James and chums in Tyne and Wear.
This is actually my first time seeing the property.
We're heading back to the pretty village of Church Lawton in Cheshire, where Dion was seeing double with a pair of semis guided at 135,000. House number 1 of this dated duo was in need of total redecoration, and although the 2 reception rooms and kitchen were tight on space,
Everything's in place, but it could be used better.
something that could undoubtedly be laid out better was the access to the upstairs bathroom, which could only be entered through the first of the 2 bedrooms. House number 2 was more of a sibling than a twin, as it lacked the kitchen extension of its neighbour, and the decor was in even greater need of updating. But the huge joint garden out back more than made up for the lack of space inside.
You bought it so well, then.
Come auction day, it was Brendan who snapped up the pair for 176,000, and although he was well versed in house renovation through his day job as owner of a property maintenance firm, his first personal project wasn't going to be straightforward.
What's the initial plan with this one then?
There's a few options. We're not quite sure which way we're going to go. Our first instance was do the 2 up, rent them out.
Okay.
After seeing the size of the garden, it's not really what possibly people who are going to be renting may want. A big garden, some people might not. So I'd thought, and it could build a nice couple of properties on that back garden.
Ah, that's interesting.
Only time and the planner's decisions would determine what would become of the property pair. Brendan's budget ranged from £40,000 to £50,000, right up to £200,000, depending on the outcome. His timescale of 1 to 3 years was fairly fluid too. So when we returned just over a 1.5 years later, what exactly would we find? Well, it looks like Brendan made up his mind and opted for renovating the existing properties. And what a result! The larger of the 2 houses is immaculate, having been stripped back to the bare bones and completely redone. Upstairs, a new corridor has been created, allowing direct access to the master bathroom. Next door has had the full works too, including a newly fitted kitchen in the former 2nd reception room. And upstairs, a bathroom has been added by pinching some space from the 2nd bedroom. So what happened to that plan for the new builds on the land at the rear?
Our first idea was to knock down the one next door, and which would give it access through to the large area of garden land at the back. And we got plans to put 3 little retirement bungalows on there, but unfortunately the council, we couldn't comply with their requirements for parking restrictions, because obviously they need parking for the property and for enough visitors. So it was suggested that we just built 2, but looking at that, it wouldn't have brought in enough profit at the end of the day to warrant all the expense.
Having decided that the new build project wasn't financially viable, Brendan turned his energies towards renovating the existing properties. He used his own team of builders from his property maintenance firm to do the major renovation work, including a full rewire on both properties and installing a new roof onto the smaller house. But Brendan also did lots of the work himself.
I am a plumber and heating engineer, albeit that I'm retired now, or supposedly. So I managed to install the plumbing and the heating myself in both properties. And obviously then we've got one of our qualified engineers down to commission everything and test everything and connect the gas up. So we've got no certification for everything.
Mucking in himself enabled Brendan to come in just over the top end of his estimated £50,000 budget, spending £51,000 in total to add to his £176,000 purchase price. And after spending over 9 months deliberating over planning, the work on the existing houses took another 6 months. All while building an extension on his own home and hunting down a crucial piece of equipment.
While I was having the building work done at home, I couldn't find the charger to me shaver. So that's why at the moment I've got a bit of a facial beard. And it's in competition with my son as well, but he's winning at the moment.
Well, whoever ends up victorious in the Battle of the Beards, it's time to ask a local estate agent whether Brendan has won any handsome returns on his total investment of $227,000.
Looking around, they've done a really good design because they've done an open plan. The finish is fantastic. They've even paid attention to the outside of the property, which is great. It's crisp, clean and perfect, ready to move into.
Top marks for Brendan. So what kind of value could he achieve on the sales market for each property?
If we put the properties on the market, I would expect to achieve for the property that's got the extension at the back around about £200,000. Next door, because it hasn't got that extra space, it hasn't got the extension at the back, but it has got a bigger garden, around about £190,000.
A combined value of £390,000 could mean a whopping profit of £163,000 before taxes and fees. But Brendan is still planning to rent the properties out. He even has a tenant lined up for the larger house. What kind of rental figure could he achieve?
If we were to market the properties for let, I would expect to achieve, for the one with the extension, £700, if not more, per calendar month. And for next door, the one with the bigger garden and without the extension, £675 per calendar month.
Well, really happy with them figures, yeah. Yeah, a lot more than what we thought they would be worth, you know.
That rental yield of just over 7% should keep Brendan's pension pot topped up nicely. So what are his words of wisdom for any novice property developers out there?
Look at the pack, just make sure you know what you're buying. That makes it easier, there's less upset in the future. And get some paper out and write down what you want to do and then write down a budget and then stick to it as best you can.
I'm heading off now to the Rhondda Valley in South Wales, an area whose heart and soul was dominated by the coal mining industry for generations. The property I'm heading to is in the village of Tylerstown, founded by 19th century geologist and colliery owner Albert Tyler. An explosion in 1896, in which tragically 57 people lost their lives, led to the introduction of canaries as a means of detecting carbon monoxide in mines. Coal mining in this area continued until its decline in the late 20th century. And this crucial industry and way of life is documented here at this mining museum. Well, we often talk about getting a mining report done if you're thinking about buying a house around here, and also about the history of mining in this part of South Wales. But it's really great that places like this exist to keep that history very much alive. Well, in the quintessential former Welsh mining town of Tylerstown is the property I'm here to see. It's a 3-bed end of terrace. This is it. Guide price £35,000. So, pretty low guide price. What do you get for your money? Well, it's nice to see that somebody's already done what you know, I often recommend, which is making things open plan. What I imagine were 2 rooms have been knocked into one to create this really nice, big, open space. But straight away, noticing some signs of some very nasty, oh my word, that wall is actually very, very wet. So that wall obviously got a problem. I did notice there was a fairly big bank at the side of it there. I wonder if there's a bit of water coming in from that, whatever. You're gonna have to get that sorted out. But in terms of a space, it's pretty good. Hasn't quite worked, right? This should be a breakfast bar, but obviously they've gone halfway in terms of knocking it around because they couldn't be bothered to actually move the radiator from where I imagine it was when this was a wall all the way up, perhaps. So a bit of re-sorting out with the radiator, put a breakfast bar in here. I think that would be really nice. At the back here, you've got a loo and, in fact, the bathroom of the property. It's not ideal, obviously, but something that you kind of just have to accept, and people do accept that's how it is in some of these properties. But it's a good-sized space. We like it. Yeah, let's explore. So, up the stairs, framed by a rather wobbly-looking banister, are the 3 bedrooms, all of which are a good size. But the real feature here is that lovely view of the Welsh valleys beyond. Well, out at the rear of the property, a small little courtyard area, but strangely enough, probably what I think is the biggest issue when it comes to this house. And sometimes it is the simplest things which cause the most problems. Look at this. This is a retaining wall. Now, a lot of the houses in the valleys of Wales, not surprisingly, are built on the side of those valleys. And in order to do so, what they had to do is dig out lots of land and then build a wall to retain the rest of the hillside. I mean, it is an amazing construction, but can you imagine the weight of soil and Welsh hillside that is holding back? It is scary beyond belief. Now, as long as it's okay, it's fine. But if you think about even for a second rebuilding that to building regulations kind of standards, something that would hold back that amount of soil, you would be looking, I'm not joking, at tens of thousands of pounds. You could blow 25 grand rebuilding that. So either you just hope it's okay, or you touch it and potentially open Pandora's box.
Inside that Pandora's box was a can of worms.
This property isn't without its flaws, that's for sure, but the views and the space make up for that. We invited along a local estate agent to take a look and see if there's anything I've missed.
I think that one of the pitfalls purchasing from auction, maybe you wouldn't know, like this particular floor, for example, it's a cement floor, but it does look rather wet, and you don't know if the membrane's failed, you don't know if there's been a membrane there at all, so you're gonna have to get someone in to have a look at that.
Oh dear, my guess would be that water is coming down the hillside and seeping in here from that back wall. You'll need a damp specialist to investigate and rectify this, a huge step in a lengthening list of problems to fix. But if we look forward to a fixed and fabulous refurbishment, what returns could we see here?
When this property is renovated, as it is a 3-bedroom property and it's end terrace, you could easily achieve between £400 and £425 per calendar month, and if it was done to exceptional standard, £450 per calendar month. If this property was renovated to quite good standard and put on the open market, you would achieve between £65,000 and £75,000. £75,000 if it was done up to a really good standard.
Well, intrinsically, it's a solid house and certainly a good guide price. Just a few basic things worry me. That retaining wall at the back, you know, how much of a problem could that be and what's causing the damp? Let's see who bought it when it went under the hammer.
Where do you start me? Wave a hand, guided at 35. Will you start me, somebody? Will you wave a hand at £30,000 for me? Thank you very much, at £30,000. So 30 I've got there. Can I see one now? I've got 30 there, 31, 32, and 3, 33, 34, 35. No.
The bidding crept up slowly on this, the first lot of the day, so we rejoin at 45,000.
No, at £45,000 and on the phone, first time, 46, 46, 47. No, at 46,000 then, that could be then out on the telephone at 46,000, back where we started, first time, second time, third and last time at £46,000. Yours, sir, madam, well done. Your number, please.
And it was Simon and Rebecca, a husband and wife team from Oxfordshire, who made that successful bid of £46,000. This is their first ever property venture, and they're looking to start a rental portfolio, so naturally I wanted to know more. Rebecca, Simon, great to meet you both.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell me why you wanted to buy this house.
Originally, we got drawn to the area due to the price of the properties around here. The more we've looked for quite a while, the more we're actually falling in love with the area, to be honest.
Oh, great.
But yeah, there was a few we was looking at before the auction, so we put bids in on another property, were unsuccessful, went to the auction, and then won the auction.
Yeah, and of course it was the first lot.
It was.
It was all a bit scary, not much chance to get yourself settled in.
No, not
But it
at all.
turned out all right. Were you happy with what you paid?
We went a little bit over.
Right.
But I'm still, you know, I'm positive that we can make of it, so...
So is this sort of a financial thing, or are you doing this to sort of live here, or what?
Eventually, we plan to live here, don't we?
When we get enough,
Yeah.
I think, you know, because we own our own business.
Oh, do you? What do you do?
In Oxford, we're contract cleaners.
Oh, okay,
So
fantastic.
we run a contract cleaning business in Oxford, so it's hard. Now we've got all the contracts there to up and relocate.
Ah.
Yeah.
But if you get a team there, presumably you could leave them doing it.
Possibly.
All right, are you very hands-on, are you?
We are, yeah.
Ah. With a cleaning business to run and their 3 young children to look after, Simon and Rebecca relish hard work. So they'll do as much as they can here themselves, with family members in the trades helping out.
So we're planning on putting a whole new kitchen, new bathroom, new flooring, redecorate throughout, make good where we can on the back.
Yeah.
We have got to get that thoroughly assessed. And the same with, to be honest, when we looked around the property at first, we didn't notice, I don't know if we had our eyes shut, but we didn't notice any of the damp problems here.
It was hidden well.
It was hidden well.
Hidden well, it's
yeah.
Tell me more.
Well, there was a carpet here that sort of hid all the damp problem.
Oh, really?
Because when we took the carpet up, it was just saturated on the floor.
Wow. What are you going to do to sort the problem? Obviously, you've dried it, it's drying out a bit.
It needs drying out. I mean, yeah, so we've noticed that on this wall and the bathroom wall, which is where the soil is piled up against the walls, the external walls.
Right.
So I think that it's bridging the damp-proof course.
Right.
So hopefully it's just that, but we're going to get a damp survey done.
Let's hope the damp problems don't eat too much into Simon and Rebecca's £5,000 to £10,000 budget, which also has to cover new fixtures and fittings as well as redecoration throughout. They hope to be ready for tenants within 6 to 10 months, but I want to ask them about the massive elephant in the garden. What about the wall at the back? Because it was one of the things I noticed when I first came in here. I was like, wow. That is one, you know, wow, to build that, to do its job now, if you were to start from scratch, would cost an absolute fortune.
Well, I think, you know, it's not going to fall down, I don't think.
No.
I hope not. But there definitely needs work doing. The top, a lot of the stones seem to be loose.
Yeah.
So that needs looking at. You can see bits and pieces where it's been repointed.
Yeah.
I need to check that out, because I don't think you could repoint on
No. It's going to be a learning experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's our first one, so, you know, I hope we learn a lot from it going on to the next.
Well, listen, congratulations. Good luck with it. Look forward to seeing how you get on.
Thank you.
Well, Simon and Rebecca embarking on their first property renovation project. I do fear a few problems on this one, though. For a start, they do live quite a long way away. They're trying to manage their own business as well. The property is great, but it does need a serious amount of work. They've got a relatively small budget. There's all the problems with that wall which might occur. I really hope it turns out fine. You can find out later in the show. Well, the fate has been sealed for one of our auction buyers, but what about the other two?
Did the stars align for them, or did they get caught in a vortex?
Let's take a look.
We're heading back to Horton Spring in Tyne and Wear now, where Martel saw a 2-bed mid-terraced house whose curb appeal was, well, not terribly appealing.
Straight away, the lack of windows, boarded up, smashed, just makes the place feel uninhabitable. But it feels quite sound.
bones of the house were sound enough, but it was missing its vital organs, such as a boiler, a working kitchen and a usable bathroom. That didn't put off James, a consultant accountant from London, from buying this property with 4 of his mates for £34,000, plus an unexpected £8,000 worth of auction fees.
We're really close friends over 10 years of friendship, so we really want to, as well as make money, have something of our own, I would say.
They say you should never work with friends or family. Do you have any concerns? Like, is anyone a diva?
I would probably say I'm probably the diva, if I'm being honest, yeah. I'm kind of that guy that likes to make things bigger than it is.
Well, James's bright idea to really big up the success of this project was to have the whole house ready for its moment in the spotlight within an ambitious 4 to 6 week timescale. However, he and his team were going to put their trust in a local building firm to get their work done to their high standards, while they would mostly manage the project from down south in London. It was a slightly risky strategy, so 7 weeks later we're back to see if it's paid off.
If you want it and you need it, then you're gonna have some faith. From the morning to the evening, yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for you, my friend. I won't let you down.
James and his friends have certainly found the right team to carry out the work needed here. The house is now fully double glazed, rewired and renovated from head to toe. The new flooring and decor is fresh and modern, ideal for the sales market. And new doors and fencing have made a real difference outside, giving it the curb appeal it was seriously lacking before. The changes here are dramatic, but what does James think of the finished article?
This is actually my first time seeing the property since being back here last time, and yeah, the team and I are really impressed with what the builders have done here in terms of the design, the quality. Yeah, really happy with what we got here.
Yes, the guys have really lucked out here, finding a local professional building team they could rely on. But they didn't make their choice at random. The friends have all been fully involved, carving out roles for themselves from their London base to best organise the progress of this long-distance doer-upper.
I would say, you know, with strengths within the team, some of us, you know, like the relationship side of things, you know, keeping communications with the estate agents or the builders or the solicitors. Others are, you know, more on the analytical side and kind of crunching the numbers. And yeah, I think with these different key strengths, we kind of make a well-rounded team.
This enterprising group of chums made many phone calls, studied reviews and recommendations on social media and sought examples of local tradespeople's work. So even though they're based hundreds of miles away, being so thorough in their research has clearly paid off in the selection of the building team they eventually hired.
In terms of trusting the work to get along while we're working remotely was a challenge actually that we knew we had to overcome. It wasn't as easy as just to pop by and, you know, see if everything's going okay. We got updates on a weekly basis. Anything that was amended from our original schedule of works was discussed and kind of amended as we kind of came along. So I think having, you know, 5 people on this project and, you know, kind of us relying on each other definitely did help. So when one of us were kind of busy at work, you know, other people were able to step up and, you know, get actions over the line. So I was fortunate to have that.
And the renovation itself has yielded fantastic results. But what about the friendship between James and his 4 mates? Has this project strained relationships or strengthened bonds?
It's been much easier than most people may expect, because obviously we've known each other for 10 plus years. Yeah, it's fun because it's all what we want to do. and yeah, it's hopefully going to be much better going forward.
I think they should be pretty pleased with the results here, especially as it was their first project and they got the work completed in just 5 weeks, 1 week under their estimated 6-week timescale. But have they been as successful with the budget?
Originally our budget was 12,000 with £3,000 contingency. We spent 15,500, so just a little bit over budget, but we can't complain.
That takes the total spend here, including those £8,000 fees in the legal pack, to £57,500. So, will they stand to make a profit on this first-time project? We asked the agent who saw it last time to come along and give us his thoughts.
Well, I have to say I'm very impressed. So little things like the provision of extra sockets in each room, a shower as well as a bath. Just things like that make such a huge difference to the modern family.
Well, a positive appraisal from the agent, so it's crunch time. Have our clever quintet added any value to this now modernised mid-terrace?
I think if you were putting this property on the open market, you should consider an asking price of somewhere between £75,000 and £80,000.
That's more than what we expected, but yeah, no, happy to hear that.
The top valuation would give a potential pre-tax profit of £22,500, which the 5 young entrepreneurs then want to invest in their next project.
We're kind of in shock and all that. We're actually at this point of completion. We're almost there. We obviously need to finish it in terms of selling it, but yeah, we're happy.
Back now to Tylerstown in South Wales, where I saw a 3-bed end terrace guided at £35,000. Inside, an open-plan kitchen-cum lounge offered plenty of room. The downstairs bathroom was in need of a refresh, but it wasn't long before something really dampened my enthusiasm. That wall is actually very, very wet. Call me a wet blanket, but there was actually a wet blanket of water seeping all over the floor, which really needed investigating. Thankfully, upstairs, the bedrooms were a lot drier and offered fabulous views across the Welsh valleys. But while admiring the scenery, I spotted another massive problem lurking outside. This is a retaining wall. I mean, it is an amazing construction, but can you imagine the weight of soil and Welsh hillside that is holding back? It is scary beyond belief. Well, hoping they wouldn't were cleaning company owners and husband and wife team Simon and Rebecca. They bought the property for £46,000 to start a rental portfolio and were ready to get stuck in once their feet had dried out.
We didn't notice any of the damp problems here.
It was hidden well.
It was hidden well.
But there was one thing they couldn't miss. What about the wall at the back?
Well, I think, you know, it's not going to fall down, I don't think.
No.
I hope not.
With their fingers firmly crossed, Rebecca and Simon were ready to get stuck in. Their budget was 5 to 10 grand and timescale 6 to 10 months. Well, we're back 13 months later to see how they got on. Well, doesn't this look amazing compared to the last time we were here? Modern, bright, inviting. They really have done a lovely job. Here's Simon to tell us about what they have achieved.
We've put a new bathroom suite in, new kitchen. We've redecorated throughout the whole house. We've put new floor coverings down, window dressings. Basically, it's all brand new.
Those carpets look lovely and dry, so where had all the leaks been coming from? Well, the couple's builder had discovered that water had literally been springing up from underground springs. And every time it rained, a shallow flood of water would soak the floor. So how did they solve that problem?
The water comes in from 5 points along this wall, about this high, from underneath. So that's where we've had to tank down below floor level here. And then along this step between the bathroom hallway and the bathroom itself, there's a little spring that runs from the rear of the property to here. So again, we've had to dig down and improve the drainage there.
The soakaway allows all the excess water to drain without connecting to the main drainage or sewerage systems. A clever and low-impact solution to the problem. But this wasn't the only big issue to overcome. The house was broken into while the work was being carried out.
It's very upsetting, actually, and at first it was sort of a bit off-putting to the whole project. It did take a good couple of weeks to sort of think, you know, no, don't let this put us down and move forward.
And move forward they did. The upstairs looks much more inviting and is ready for the tenants Rebecca and Simon want to tempt here. Now everything on the inside has been rectified, what about the external changes?
So externally, we've had the new roof put on the extension. With the garden, we've made it safe, however, we haven't quite finished. It's more of a summer job, so hopefully in a year or two's time, when we've got some more rent coming in, we might reconsider opening up the hill out the back and actually tearing it off into levels and making it more usable.
Resolving the underground spring issue and repairing the damage after the break-in caused the couple's original budget of £5,000 to £10,000 to shoot up to £15,000, taking the total investment here to £61,000. Has all the pain been worth it?
I'm very happy with the finished product, actually. A lot of work has gone into this, a lot of time, but I think it's all worth it. I'm very happy with the end result.
Well, I think Rebecca and Simon should be really proud of themselves on their first project. We've invited along the estate agent who saw it last time to take a look.
Come back to the property for the second time, and first thing you notice straight away, the front's looking very nice. It's got a new front door, a very nice versatile door. Walked in, lovely new kitchen. Everything looks new and clean and tidy. And as you walk upstairs, you notice all the spotlights, which is a great addition, very modern, very trendy, and I think they've done a really good transformation.
The estate agent thinks the house could now sell for £75,000, which would give the couple a pre-tax profit of £14,000. But their plan is still to let the property out, so what rental return does the agent think they could expect?
This property would easily achieve £475 to £500 per calendar month.
OK, that's actually lower than I expected. I've actually got it on the market at the moment for £575.
Well, Simon and Rebecca do now have a tenant lined up and ready to move in at that sought-after figure of £575 per calendar month, netting them a yield of 11%. An amazing result for their first project, and all the problems they've overcome here haven't deterred this determined duo.
We have already purchased our next property. It is at auction, and we're actually heading over there shortly to start ripping it out.
We travel up and down the country, meeting buyers with their own unique stories to tell.
Yes, and those stories captivate us from beginning to end.
And we've got plenty more tales where they came from, so make sure you join us here next time on Homes Under the Hammer.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.